Hi, good morning and welcome to a live stream. One of the most important things in painting is how to advance in a logical, rational, thoughtful way from one painting to the next. People often make the big mistake of jumping wholesale into a whole new area. What you've got to do is find links to previous paintings that you've done. If you can do that, then you can go into the next painting with confidence and a certain degree of certainty about knowing that you've touched this ground before. That's very important. Remember, painting is a very fragile thing. It's based largely on knowledge and practice, but also confidence. So if your confidence is waning, go back and paint something that you knew that you were successful at. Right? That's very, very important. Confirm your confidence as much as you can by revisiting paintings that you've done successfully in the past. All right? Keep that in mind. It's very, very critical to people who want to advance in their art, people who want to get better. If you're an amateur artist and you're looking to push your art a little bit further into competitions or into galleries and so forth, you need to have a pathway. You need to know a pathway that works for you so that you can advance in a careful, calibrated, logical, successful way. Okay? So, I'm going to show you how that works physically here. Here's a painting that's not finished, right? I touched this the other day, right? That came off that photograph. There's the photograph that I used for that. Now you can see there's some similarities in there in terms of a sky, a headland, and then some water, and then waves and so forth at the front. You can see I've taken some things from there. It's not finished. It's about halfway in, but I've got the storyline in there. That's the important thing to start with. But if I were to scale this up, if I want to take this to the next step, how can I do it? Let's say I want to use this girl. Right? She's got a lovely flowing dress. And it'd be appeal to most women, that scene. So although it's blue, we don't have much contrast in there. This one's got a nice bounce of pink in there, which helps it. And I've thrown some yellow in here to energise those waves and to give that more bounce, right? But I want to do this one as a vertical, so I'm going to take something in here, right? If I just cut that there, you can see there's a painting there. If I cut it this side, there's a painting there. So this is going to be a vertical painting showing you how you can take from one thing you've done and move it on to another painting. So I'm going to take that idea of a cloud and maybe a headland across there, and I'll put the figure in. I'll have the light coming from the right hand side, almost overhead here. So let me see if I can do that. So I'm going to take what I've got here, for example, and take it over. So off I go. So a little bit of phthalo there, throw in a little bit of a pink, give us a light colour, a light bluey sky colour, and we'll put that in down here. We're going to come down to about, that figure's going to go in here somewhere. We want her sort of coming into the water. So I'll have her, remember in painting, always have the person or the figure going from and then to an open area. You give them hope and promise. That's what I call that, hope and promise. So always give the notion that there's hope and promise in someone's life, and particularly in a painting like this. So she's going to go in here somewhere. There's that nice flowing dress. I'll make this a big figure. So she's going to be about there. She's moving that way. So we're going to keep this open here. So our waves are going to show, any wave formation will show itself this side. So that's our energised area. And that'll balance off, because she's right at the fulcrum, the weight of the painting is going to be that side. So we need to counterbalance that with something on this side, either with clouds, wave formation, wave contrast and colour in there, and also the splashing of water down here. So we've got certain elements we can use and put in there to counterbalance her force. Let's go on here. So down we go, down to where there's a horizon. Where's our horizon going to be? We'll take it down to about there, I think. Okay, off we go. I'll throw in a bit of a horizon colour. And I'm going to mix up these, throw a bit of lemon yellow in there. How about we try that? There we go, that works. Take that up, back up to our other colour now, to the top. Bring it down. We want a cloud in there. We want that cloud sort of somewhere where her head's going to be to pull her head out. So we'll pop a cloud somewhere in here and maybe bounce it off with one up there. Down we go further. A bit more yellow in there now as we link these up. A bit of a nice grey-green there, which is quite good. Let's throw the sky in. Let's throw the a cloud in there. You can notice I'm using, hey, I got a whole bunch of new brushes the other day. So if you're in England and you want a brush, then Linda will be, she doesn't know it yet, but she's going to get a whole bunch of brushes. Right, so I'm just bouncing away here. Let me look at this photograph now as a guide. There's a nice bit of mauve in these clouds, but let me keep on going here and just fill this in. And it's a big welcome to everyone. Thanks for joining me. Don't worry too much about the figure. We know where it's going to go now. Nice and airy. A little bit of that pink. That's a bit of that brilliant rose or whatever it's called. It's a lovely colour. Look at that. We can throw a bit of that in there under the cloud as a shadow, as a counterbalance. Beautiful. We've got some good colours working there now. Just nice and loose. Keep it sort of bouncing around. Nothing in particular. You're not really trying to paint a known sky. It's just the feeling of a sky, right? Because what will happen here after we finish this, the brain, people who look at this, they'll join the dots. They'll say, "Oh, that's the sky." It wouldn't be a sky coming from the bottom, would it? So it's got to come from the top. So all the indications are that it's a sky. And I'll just bounce a bit more of that down. Okay, so we're down to there now. And we can bounce that up a bit more. If I want to energise that cloud a bit more, I just got to take a little bit more. And shove a little bit more light through it and down here. I might put a few low clouds in down here as well, which would be a little bit of the blue and a little bit of mauve. A bit more of the blue. Like in that photograph, we've got some nice low hanging clouds across there. And that also comes up and finds its way into these upper clouds. And they become shadow marks and just marks of other clouds that are interceding. There's a bit of a crease in the canvas there. Oddly enough, I had some come back the other day from Australia. I sent some over to Australia to a good gallery in Perth, and it looks like Customs unwrapped them and did what they normally do, and that was just roll them up as they wanted to, and they all got creased like that. So how did I get that crease out? Good question. Not too hard if you know what you're doing. So what I did was put water on the back of it first to tighten it up. Just took that off and put water on the back. Put it out in the sun, and of course it went like a drum. And the next thing I did was to needle the crease with my thumbnail behind it, so that I could loosen up the fabric, the weave in the fabric. By doing that, it should be able then to find its own form again. Remember, it had been creased, so the weaves, the thread was knotted together. By needling it with my thumb, also being moist behind there the second time, I was able to get that out. And so it can all be done. And that's how I did that. Let's put a bit of a headland in here, seeing we've got it already there. Just something that'll largely go away. We'll see. It'll be a suggestion. It'll be another feature in there, another element in the painting, but it's not a significant one, it's just a supporting element. But it's a balancing item too. And we can have a line come there and then another one go over there. We don't need to have them all showing nice and carefully. Just the feeling of what it is important. We're painting a feeling rather than literally and as I go along, I'll come and revisit these parts up here as I incorporate that colour and that colour down here back up into the other parts. It will find its way there. Okay, down we go. Now let's put it in some water. So here I'm going to swing away a little bit from the photo. I want to put in some. Let me see. I want to take this. I want to use a wave in here. So I'm going to take that nice brown over here and throw that in there like that. So there's going to be a rolling wave there. It'll just sort of evaporate over to that side. So I'm starting to build a little bit of a composition now. And I'll go back to the blue here, and I'm just going to mark in a horizon area. I'll let that bleed in, so I'm going to shuffle this brush up and down so that sort of finds its way into the other element. I'll throw a bit of that straight across into it. So all linked together. So I'm going to dry that brush a little bit now and come back up this way. See if I can build these together. Just take a little bit of that colour, throw it back into the horizon. There we go. And that sort of headland slightly just disappears as it goes around. So we're getting something working there now. Okay. Now, of course, I'm going to rub a bit of that out to put the figure in. Right, we've got a nice little touch of a green here. I'm going to use that. How can I get that? There's a bit of green there. I'll get that. Let's put that. It's a nice sort of light and airy run of water in there that's doing its own thing. And it just gives it a little bit more character, a little bit more movement to that water. And I can just leave little bits of white there. It almost looks like there's waves out there, doesn't it? So folks, I had a bit of a cough before, but I'm over it now. There we go. Now, let's come down here and throw in a little bit of a grey for these, where we're going to put this wave. So across here like that. Now I could use equally the pastry brush, but this brush for this sort of work is brilliant. See how I'm just holding it at the back of the brush and just sliding that around, trying to form up something. There's the wave comes up and then falls down like that. See that broken cluster of hairs there is perfect for this. I like them to separate like that. That's why I made this brush like this. I tried different brushes, and I said no, they were either too soft or they held their form too well. I like a brush that you can change and manipulate to so you can engineer the effect you want, rather than have the brush as a unit that you must adapt to. You make the brush adapt to what you want it to do. So that's where I go with these brushes of mine. They've all got multiple uses. So even that, just form a little line across there. And that works. Over here, watch this one over here. Just using that point of the brush, the side edge of it. And then I could use the face of it. So it's a great brush. So I'm not trying to go to the high values yet. I'm just going to form in something that looks like some waves and a bit of a beach. Now that looks okay so far. And take that colour, I'm going to put it back up in here again. So I'm holding the whole thing together. Put it back up in here. Slide it around in there. Look at that, that's nice. I could bring it in here and open up an area in here as well. And that changes the shape of that headland from one block to another level. So there's more of a drift in there. It happens when you've got sea spray and so forth, things like that. It opens up at the base of the mountains or the hills or the headlands. Okay, down we go. So, now just down to here, I'm going to put in this run of water here. And the predominant colour there is that yellow ochre and white. So I'm just going to bang that across there like that. Bring it down a bit further. Kick it up a bit. Whatever the value is, try and come down a value to give yourself space at the other end of the painting, so that when you're getting near the end of it, you want to be able to keep on coming up with your highlights. Well, if you don't allow enough space at the beginning when you're blocking in for those highlights to be powerful, then you're going to end up with a painting which doesn't have the feel and the grunt to it that you really need. I'll just put in a little bit of, what's that colour up there? That looks like a little bit of light red, my favourite. Well, let's see if we can put a bit of that in there. Anything just to darken it a little bit. There we go. All right. That looks nice and airy and wispy. I'll just bleed that together now. Okay. Let's just drop in a suggestion of a few waves. So I'll just get a little bit of yellow ochre. And this is thicker paint now, and I'm just going to put in, there's a wave over here. And let's do one over here. Let's see if we can bounce that up a little bit here with some thicker paint. Perhaps we won't see much of that, but there we are. That's sort of showing what we've got. Now, come down to the foreground. So our figure's going to be in here somewhere. So we're going to take this. I want that water coming around her legs. So I'm going to keep on bringing this down like that, and then I'm going to go into the sand area down here, just the part that doesn't have that big run of water on it. So it's a little bit of blue. It's a repetition of the sky, really. So let's do that in there. These are really nice paintings to do. When you get these paintings out, they look so good on a wall. They're light and airy. They're very summery. They're happy. They're energised. They're not. And we're painting according to our instinct, which is what I believe should drive our art. Is what you feel you want it, not just what you want to paint, but something that makes you happy to paint it, and you get some sort of sensation from as you do it. I'll take some of that colour now and put it back up here. So I'm constantly just echoing these colours. Okay, so we've got something going there. Now let's put in this figure. So she's going to be running across here somewhere. I've got that wave there which I wanted. We can pull that out later on. The thing here is, remember also, those of you who are in my workshop, remember that there's a point where you put figures in and there's a time when you don't put them in. One of the things we've got to remember is to get the figure in early before you start detailing up the rest of it. As soon as you detail up the rest of it, you're compressing, you're shutting yourself into a little box. And you don't want to do that. You want to have the space to keep on going and be spontaneous and loose as you go along. So I'm going to drop this in about here. There's a dress flying along there, a nice weave to a dress. Up she goes, the back of her, shoulders up there, somewhere like that. she's going to be running along through the shallow water. Okay, that'll do me. Now let me just wipe that out. There's her arm in there somewhere. Coming down to her dress. Got a lovely sway to that dress, beautiful, like a butterfly. Anything with movement and that reminds us of something that we've once done. That's what you want, or seen. And it brings back a feeling, an emotion that we had when we saw that. That's the important thing about painting, is to try and make it so that, try and do a painting that links into something that you enjoy, and that makes it even more better for you to paint. Okay, now, let's put in this dress. I'm just going to go for, I'm going to look at that photograph, I'm going to go for, pick out the shadow areas. You can see the shadow in the light. Where the demarcation is, we try and leave that light for now. I'm just going to try and put in a rough shadow colour and tone. So I'm going to mix up something close to that, but a little bit darker in value.
Julia Stevens, do you use rags rather than paper towels?
Yeah, I use rags, Julia. Thank you. Paper towels are good, but I just prefer to have old rags. So up we go, trying to find that dress. Which workshop was Julia in? Do you remember, Graham?
Miami. Florida.
Florida. Oh, that was a good workshop. Had a lot of fun down there. We had Robert Gross down there, our resident psychiatrist, and Anita, his wife, and we had a good collection of people down there. I'll make this a bit bigger. Down we go here. That goes down about there, looking at what that shape is here. So we're down around there somewhere for the bottom part of that dress. So up we come. Let's just put in a bit of a highlight so far so we can get this right. So I'm just going to make this thin and come up here like that. Yeah, that was a good workshop. It was just after the cyclone went through. So it was, we were due for Naples, but we didn't make Naples. We ended up in, where was it? It was...
Plantation.
Oh, Plantation, that's right, yeah.
Rita says
hello. Hello, Rita. Hope you're good in Wisconsin. Been doing some nice work, Rita has too, I've got to say that. Rita was in the one in Wisconsin, in the workshop we had there. And she's been firing up with some great paintings since. I've seen some of them, they've been great. No doubt about Rita, no flies on Rita. So I'm up to her waist, they're out there somewhere. And then we'll go into her skin tone. So a little bit of that and a little bit of that. Just anything for the moment. It's sort of close to what we've got. That's a bit orange, but anyhow, it doesn't matter really at this stage. Oh, that's about right. Okay. See, I'm just using this brush to block in everything. There. And then her arm comes out here. Yeah, that was a good workshop, that one. Had a lot of fun. We had
Erickson.
Lon's there, go Lon.
Figure 40% of the canvas.
Not this time, Lon. I'd say we've got about, we don't have that much. Overall, it's really not that much. I was thinking about that the other day. So overall, it's really not that much of a canvas that we cover. Yeah, so I've got to bring this out here more. So let me take that, come back down here. I'll go back to my little brush in a moment. So over we go here. Let's find this over here, and down it goes. There's a crease there, and it comes out. Across there like that, and down we go. Now Lon, I know, would love this one. Still down for Vegas, folks. I'll be in Vegas in not too long from now, and I've got to find somewhere to live. I'll possibly live in a park somewhere. Okay, so I've got that. Now let's get the other brush. So what am I doing? I'm taking this section here, basically that section, and transposing it over to this painting, over this one. Now let's go back in and see if we can line up these. I'll need my magnifier now, so I'll get that. I'll put this one down. I'll come back.
Marcella, do you have the dates for Vegas?
No dates yet, Marcella, I know. But Marcella, you don't need any more workshops. You're just painting too well now. You are. Now, and your husband, I hope he's still cooking as well as I recall his cooking. It was, well, I put on about 3 kilos in one day there. Very lucky. Let's come in and look at this, what we got here. It's very deceptive, some of these.
Joni Hickson, will you come to my house in Covington, Louisiana? She wants you to hold a workshop at it.
Oh, that was... Now, I've been trying to find your emails.
Joni Hickson. Yeah.
Joni Hickson, that's right. Joni, send me could you please get in touch again, please? And let me know where it is.
Covington, Louisiana.
I wonder where that is. Graham.
Is there some gumbo down there?
Have we got gumbo down there? If we have, there's a big chance I'll go. I'll bet Jody makes it.
So Marcella said he's still cooking, my husband's still cooking.
I'll
and
bet
Julie Gursky says hi from Budapest.
Oh, Julie, hello from Budapest. That's a long way away. Got a bun in her hair here. Makes it a nice little feature as she turns her head. I'll just put a little bit of a highlight on there for now. So Louisiana, tell me where you are so that I can have a look on a map. Covington. Where's that near?
Relation, yeah.
I wonder where it's near, and if how many people do you think you could have there? How many people could you get in for a workshop? They're all the important things I need to know to make it so it's worth my while to go down there, because the gumbo would be enough to make it worthwhile.
Close to New Orleans.
Clifton, it's near New
So, yeah, it's close to New Orleans. Gumbo, crawfish, whatever you want to eat. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like us gum.
Jane Jones. Hi, Robert. Jane from Creative Painting in Las Vegas. Enjoy your painting. Let me know when you're in town. Love to meet you. And you're going to be there like in mid-May.
Yeah, I'll be there mid-May. That's right.
Judy Forno watching from Salisbury, MD.
MD is MD. Where's that one? So I'm just forming this up now, just trying to find some of these major highlights and.
Oh, do you want to do a camera to Roseanne about the setup?
Oh yeah. Now Roseanne, and I'm quite sure there's a lot of others have asked how I set up this studio and the easel and what I've actually done here. Let me just get this done here and I'll come back to you. Right, so what we have here, I've got a window over here, right? So I've got natural light coming in this way. The studio, that's the northern, that's north there. So that's west and that's east. So I've got northern light, which is what you really want. So that light spills in through the window. I've got my palette, my working area here, basically at window height, and also my comfortable waist height. So if I hold my hand here, there's my fist, basically at the height of that. So I normally use this as my mixing, as my palette. On here I keep paint and all other junk, so forth, and so as you can see, it's not a testament to good housekeeping. This is a testament to bad housekeeping, right? But it works. There's an ice box I didn't eat. It's gone all soft, for example, so that goes over there. Over there's some hairspray, which I don't need now. There's another panel pop. So the window, they're photographs I've been working on yesterday. I put them up there where I can remember where they are, because as soon as they go from there over to there, everything gets lost. Under this I've got shelves where I keep rags and other things. On this I've got a piece of canvas, and that piece of canvas serves as a palette base. I mixed a paint on there, and you can see it's totally well organised. Another testament to how well I'm ordered in terms of my brain. Over there I've got a mix of thinner with a little bit of linseed oil in it. Now I'll put this up here this time to do the painting, right, so you can see what I'm doing. Normally I haven't got there, I've gone down to here. Okay, the easel itself is a board. It looks like it's 5 foot by 4 foot, and that's screwed onto 3 inch by 1.5 inches, 3 inch by 1 inch uprights. Now normally, like for example, when I go to Vegas, I'll simply go and buy one of those, and one of those is two. I'll just screw that on a board. I'll screw the board on there and pop it up against the wall. The board will act as the cross braces, and that's what I do. So 3 pieces of timber would serve as a working base for an easel. Now at the top I've got 3 daylight fluorescents. I can have 2 of those as enough. They're 4 feet long. They're wired up, and I've got them on a control switch down here. So you just plug them in and on they come. Now I find that during the day, when the sun's out, or when it's like today, it's overcast, there's enough light coming through here to spill across, right? But I need that same light to spill down. So this area within here, we've got sort of a ball of light that's about the same intensity. And that's why I need this 3, because the light down here drops down to what it is up here. So this light across at this angle, about my height, my eye height, is the same. I've got a light above the mixing area to continue that light intensity. So we've got the same sort of light swinging across my eye level. So if the sun goes down, there's no great change in the light. The sun goes down, this light simply takes over and illuminates this area here, and I can continue to work on it at night time without any dislocation.
Roseanne, how far apart do you have the screws on the board?
Oh, the screws up here, it depends, Roseanne, on how big the paintings are. I've got a number of screws there. As you can see, 1 there. I've got 1 here, 2 here, 3 there. These 3 will take a bigger canvas. Then I come up here. That one here I've taken from over here. So I've got 1, 2, 3 levels there. Then I go up again, then up again. The bigger I work on, the more screws I put in. Right? So I can work on a big painting. There's 1 screw here, for example, and 1 here. So I can put a big painting on here, 6 foot, 8 foot, whatever, and just hang it down. The important thing about an easel is you should need to be able to move the canvas up and down according to where you're working, because we're working figures, so we don't need to be looking down nor up. We need to be working exactly where you're comfortable, so at eye level preferably, all right? So that everything's done at eye level. That way you're not forcing yourself to find lines, you're not forcing yourself to understand values, you're working in a comfortable zone. That's really important. So everything to do with painting is you must be comfortable with. When you stand, stand erect. Don't slouch. You slouch, you're going to make mistakes. If you don't have the light right, you're going to make mistakes. If you've got this up here too high, up there like that, and I'm working there, I'm looking up. I'm not going to get it right because I'm doing this, which is wrong. I need to have that down where I'm working. If I'm working on the sky, I should have it down there. All right, so it's eye level. I'm working on the figure, the hat. I take it up. I go up again if I'm working on down here. So I can move that canvas up and down according to what part I'm working on in the painting. Okay, so it's all got to be comfortable. There's the rag there's another rag over there. I don't have to go and move, I don't have to reset all the time. That's another thing. That's why the magnifier is so critical. If you use a monitor, you've got a monitor over here, you might have an iPad on an arm, you still have to move your head like that. When you do that, you're losing the hold you've got on the value that you're trying to remember. Okay, so the closer you can work to, the closer you can hold your reference material to the point where you're working, the more accurate you're going to be, the more efficient you're going to be in your time, and the more effective you're going to be in how you finally display that painting and work your way towards the end of that painting. So that's the configuration. That's the one I've never really used a commercial easel. The one that I use outside now is a simple one. I've used that French one. I threw that away because it's simply too cumbersome. Way too cumbersome. It's not an easel which I'd recommend at all. So the thing is to make things. Look, women know kitchens. If you go into a kitchen, women will not buy a house unless the kitchen's right. And kitchen is about being effective and efficient with the time and the resources that you're trying to construct to make food. So have the same approach with your easel and with your working studio. Look at it as a kitchen where you're trying to bake a cake. You've got ingredients to put together, you've got a certain time period to do that within. If things are if the things are where they shouldn't be, you get them where they should be. So do the same as you would in a kitchen with your studio. There you go, girls. So here we go, back here again. Now, back to this. So what do we got here? So let's go back to let's keep on working. A little bit more of that dress.
Marcella says she has to wait for her kids to leave the house so she can have a studio.
Marcella, that won't work. So what Marcella's problem is that she doesn't have a dedicated work area. Now, my friend in Bangkok, I call Mum, who's I've got two very good doctor friends up there, and their mother was a professor of paediatrics at the main university in Thailand, and Mum's 82, and only 3 weeks ago when I was there, I said, look boys, we've got to get Mum a studio. She needs to have a dedicated area, not move things in from a box, put them on the table and go pack up every day. So we found an area where Mum could do some paintings. So she's now as happy as Larry up there. She's got one room, air conditioned, where she's got all the stuff laid out, and she can saw ahead. And I saw some paintings she did yesterday, and they are very, very good. So that's a testament to having a dedicated area and the ease with which you can be yourself and be your own artist in a good area. So Marcella, you've got to listen. Throw the kids out, put them in the garage or somewhere. Right? You take over their room, because that's your area. You'll be a much better mother after you do that too. So Marcella, we could do some fundraising. And Marcella's been doing some good paintings too. I've got to say, you've seen them, Graham, haven't you?
Yep. Jeannie Deeden from Indiana.
Hello, Jeannie.
When are you going to put the classes on the website? So when are you going to disclose the dates?
As I get closer to, I've got a lot of paintings to do right now, but when I get closer to leaving, when I actually know I'm going to be there, I'll be buying a ticket shortly, and when I do, I'll then know then I've got to find a house, which could take me a few days, and then after I get that, I'll then possibly post it, but I'll post as soon as I can actually, because I know we've all got plans and we've got responsibilities and other commitments, so I'll try and do what I can as soon as I can for us all.
Sherry McCoy from Colorado workshop.
Yep, Sherry.
When we post a painting on the group website, is there any way you can critique it, help us improve what they've done?
Yeah,
you need to get on that more often.
I need to get on that website more often and look at what we've all been doing. So let me. I've been flat out painting actually, but I've been flat out with a cough in the last week. But that's no real excuse. So I'll get on that. As Graham said, I need to attend to that a bit better.
Robert Gross, the trick cyclist from Oregon. Says hello.
Hello, Robert. Now listen, Robert's got a very good wine that I was fortunate enough to taste. In fact, a number of people tasted Robert's wine in Orofino, Oregon. Robert brought some up to the workshop there, and he was an important member of the workshop because Robert gave us an insight into the workings of the human brain in terms of as an artist. He felt we were all perfectly adjusted. He said, I've never seen such an adjusted group of people as I found that I've seen, Robert, in your classes. And so that was Robert's professional opinion on the workshops. And so we thank Robert for that comment, and I'm sure Robert would agree with what I've just said. And I hope Anita and you, Robert, are going very well, and we've got a good harvest this year. And that's the dog. And that is the dog. Now she's upset about something.
Sue Miller says Las Vegas is a real hot market right now. People are running away from California and moving to Las Vegas. Hope you can find something to own.
Oh, really?
Jamie Trinidadi from Brazil says hello.
Hello, Jamie. Thanks for joining us from Brazil.
Julia Stevens said there's a website that you can go on that's easy to rent for vacation, so I'll remember that website.
Okay, good. Thanks, Julia. Is she going to post it, Graham? Is she?
Yeah, I'll remember it.
Okay.
And Spike is on.
Spike, hello, Spike. Good. Thanks for coming on, Spike. Thanks for taking the time out to help me on that other issue, the magnifier. But all good there. So I've got my agent Bill Cahill, and those of you in McDonough will remember Bill, who came along and kindly talked to us all about the marketing side and how you present your art and all that. And so that'll happen again. I'm quite sure Bill would be more than happy to devote some time to helping us. That head might be a bit small. Now, a girl's got a ribbon in the back of her hair there, which we're going to put in a moment. Now, I'm going to put in some. Need to just get these. We've got a lot of little things here to fix up. So let's see if I can get it. So we've got. I'm now looking. I'm holding this magnifier closer I get, the more I can get these colours and values right. So you can see I'm just moving my head fractionally.
Hey Rita, I'm going back in 2 weeks. Dad should be back in the States around mid-May.
Yeah.
Las Vegas, so yeah. Julia, are you using the other colours?
Not at this one, Julie. I'll talk about colours later. One of the things we had in the workshop was interesting because people said, well, Bob, what would you use as your basic colour palette for a landscape? I said, well, that's a good question. I said, based on what we need a painting to do, right, in terms of what the actual mechanics of distance are, I said you need to be able to paint a dark. So that's going to push you into either something like a phthalo or a Prussian blue or something like that. And then you need, of course, that'll give you your red. Your red then, you need one that's going to also generate a nice dark, a believable dark. So something gets down to a very strong dark. So I said you'd go to say a alizarin or something like that. So that'll give you a very strong dark. It also bounces up into another good range of other colours. So once you've got that, then you need, of course, there's your red and your blue, so you need a yellow. So I said a yellow, to mix up a good grey, you throw in lemon yellow, and that gives you two primaries basically. I'd say a permanent rose, an ultramarine or a Prussian or a phthalo, and then a lemon yellow. Now they'll give you a super duper grey. If you want to throw in, say, a burnt sienna or say a burnt umber, and then say Viridian, that'll give you a more expansive set of great greys, and it also gives you the versatility of a deep set of values and a great set of high values. Combine that with with a soft white, and you should be there. Now, there's not much change in here. When I look up under here, there's a lot of grey that's bleeding its way through this painting. And I hope Bob Gross's painting, Robert, I hope you're listening. I expect to see something. I look forward to meeting you and Anita again and having some of your lovely wine. I'd like to know where it's available in Lost Wages. So when I get to Lost Wages, I'll be able to go and buy some and support our favourite vineyard in Portland. Yes, you're in Portland. Robert's up in Portland. So if anyone lives near Portland, Oregon, then please go and see Robert and try some of his great wine. It is good wine too, I've got to say. You had some, didn't you, Graham?
Yeah.
Awesome,
yeah.
What did you think? How did you rate Robert's wine?
Very, very good.
Is it as good as his art?
His art's probably better.
You think his art's better?
Yeah.
Gee.
That's not saying anything bad about his wine. It's saying how good his art is.
Well, Robert, I mean, there you are. His art. Graham seems to think that you think he should give away his medical practice and focus on his art more.
Yeah.
So there you are, Robert. You've got the words now. Okay, let's just leave that there. We'll come back to that in a moment. I'm going to put some shadows, some reflections in here. We'll move this along so you can see where it's going to go. So she's got her feet in here somewhere. Right. So they're crossing over, so she's... And now the legs over there.
Norma said she liked the wine as well.
Norma, we do all like Robert's wine. So Robert's wines, we could make that the easy art go-to wine, Graham. What do you think? Robert, could you please allow us to sell your wine? We need to supply it every workshop we have from now on. We need a truck set up like a wine bar that we could all go to. Now what are we going to do now? So we've got a reflection there. Now let's put in a few. What are we going to do now? sun coming at about 2 o'clock, so the shadow's going to be over there. Okay. Where's that photo of the beach? Come back to here. Now let's start to body this up a little bit. Start to get a bit more going in this wave area here. Okay, now I'm going to get a bit thicker with the paint. And I want a grey brown. That water's kicking up the sand. Not everywhere, just in places. And this gives me the chance to come in and chop away at that dress again and just confirm the shape a bit better.
Carol Claus from Sun City, Arizona says hello.
Hi, Carol.
Robert Grace said that would take a lot of wine, a whole chocolate, he reckons.
Robert, I've got no doubt that any group that we've had would be able to drink that truck dry in the 3 days, right? And I'm sure that as a result of that and your guidance at the helm of the bar, if you're serving the drinks, that the paintings will be even greater than they were. So I think that's all a go, Robert. Go right ahead, buy the truck.
Sherry McCoy said she took a magnifier to an art class and everyone went crazy. Maybe got some sales from it. Yeah, we don't have any in stock though, Sherry, so we're out of stock now.
Yeah, we've got brushes. Sarah, where's that brush kit that just came in? Can you go and get a brush box? The magnifiers are in transit as I speak. There'll be a whole bunch arrive in both the UK and here's some more brush kits here, Graham. These just came yesterday, so we've got another lot of these, and the magnifiers will be available in about 2 weeks, no more. Right now they're going by DHL to the US. By elephant.
Robin Gray from Toowoomba says hello.
Hello from Toowoomba.
We've got about 3 minutes left.
Okay. So it looks like we have to finish this off camera, folks.
I'll post the photos up right after.
You can see we've got a long way to go in terms of the value range. For example, I'll just throw one thing in here, Graham, while we're going. For example, just the waves here. So we've got all that value range to go there yet.
Bonnie Kaufman says hello from Fort Myers, Florida.
Ah.
Yep, Lauren, I'll post a reference photo up right after.
Okay, so we'll leave it at that, I think. I'll finish this off camera and I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. I'll also finish this one. But I want you to just try to understand what we're doing there. I'm trying to find a link to other paintings all the time. So I'm just taking that area here, basically, one area here, and re-engineering the elements so that they support the narrative. Right? We don't want that wave hidden behind her because that defeats the purpose of that as an element that is a balancing unit, right? Each element should have a specific role. They should lock in together in an overall equation that makes sense so that the whole painting is one smooth, connecting platform of colour and story. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's the purpose of any painting, is to carry interest, is to find interest and to hold that interest. So we need a couple of little waves in, a couple of little highlights in here, for example. Now, as we see this, we can add a little bit more things to it later on. Anyhow, I'll show you this when it's finished. It'll be a nice painting. I'll put some seagulls in here flapping around, maybe another figure in here, and there'll be some water splashing around here. Where's the water coming in this way? There's going to be water in here. Splashing up in a dress. Find its way over there. And there'll be another little crimp of water in here, a little wave there. Right? So we just keep on engineering it. Alright? So that's how it goes. Alright, well listen, thanks for joining me again. and I'll see you again in a week's time. Graham said there he'll post these photos up. Yep.
I'll do it in the next 5 minutes. Yeah.
He said in the next 5 minutes. So there you go, Lon. So get your brushes out, all of you, and make sure you're ready to paint this. And I'll just see them up on the website. If you're not in the artist group, try and join up. I will come back to that and start to look at what people are doing and give my opinions there. So I've been off the reservation a bit, but I'm back on the reservation. I've dragged in a couple of wild geese on my travels out there in the swampland, and we can all sit around the campfire and enjoy a nightly meal and wash it down with one of Robert Gross's lovely wines from Portland, Oregon. There you go. So see you next time. Enjoy your weekend. Look after your dogs and go and work in the garden for a while.